Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all our podcast guests. My name is Olena Rybak. I'm the Vice Chair of the European-Ukrainian Energy Agency, and I'm pleased to welcome you here at our next session of podcast EUEA Dialogues. And today we have a very special topic. We will be talking about Ukraine's renewable energy sector at war, building generation capacities and supporting frontline medical professionals. Why supporting frontline medical professionals? Because our podcast today is specifically dedicated in support of Leleka Foundation, which since more than 10 years already is actively volunteering and working on a good cause. We will be telling more about this today, but at the same time sharing experience where the renewable energy sector stands, what are the challenges, where are the opportunities, and what are we expecting from this sector in the enormous energy crisis that Ukraine is living through on a daily basis. So I'm very pleased to have here with me today a slightly different setting, not one guest, but all three guests, very active players of renewable energy sector. With us is Adrien Fouchet, country manager of GreenFuture Energy, Alina Sviderska, country manager of Scatec Ukraine, and Yuri Kubrushko, who's the co-founder of Green Recovery Fund, managing director of IMEPOWER, and co-founder of Leleka Foundation. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you today.
Hey.
And to be here. Of course, I'm particularly pleased that all of you are dedicated and long-term board members of European-Ukrainian Energy Agency, and I'm very honored to have you here with us today. So I suggest we jump immediately to our topic and try to see how we can inspire more companies entering to the challenging Ukrainian market before it's too late. You know, where comes the challenges, come the biggest opportunities also. So since you are all, since at least few decades, we have here probably at least 50 years of accumulated, 50 years of accumulated experience in renewable energy sectors in Ukraine. How would you characterize the Ukrainian RES sector in the past 2.5 years since the full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine? Where do you see these biggest challenges and opportunities as it is today? And you're welcome to start. Maybe we'll start from Adrien.
Maybe from our company is having a particular position because I've been working in Ukraine since 2017. I've been also there in 2012. But the reality for our company is a little bit different, is that I founded my own company and my primary market was Poland. And I was considering and trying to convince my dear investors to go to Ukraine when the war started. So definitely that's a huge challenge when the war starts. Obviously, Ukraine was always not on our first target list because it's a complex market. It became even more complicated. So we have decided in the last 2.5 years to shift our view and say that yes, the regions which are in our heart and in which we wanted to work are currently in occupied territories. So the best is to support the armed force of Ukraine in taking that back so we can maybe one day develop there. So let's say our phase of development currently in Ukraine is in phase -1, is taking back control of the land which we consider a great potential for renewable sources. So that's kind of our position on the last 2.5 years. We remain active in terms of getting information on the market. We are pleased to see that there is a lot of energy around our sector, that we are a major topic, that currently in case of the war, I mean, energy is a key factor. And at the same time, we try to focus our investment in Ukraine on the armed force of Ukraine and obviously on the Leleka Foundation.
Thank you very much for that. Alina, you are also from the developer side, solar business. Are you the same experience on the market?
Almost. We've been our company and myself also have been on the renewable market approximately from 2017. So we've been passing through different lifespans of Ukrainian electricity market, starting from when it just was emerging and when it's kind of very active. We've been operational in Ukraine, and we're also looking into how the company can contribute to the Ukrainian electricity system. And unfortunately, a lot of opportunities are coming from the challenges because Russia destroyed almost 50% of Ukrainian energy capacities, and we have to think how we can help with rebuilding, and that's all spheres, starting from generation to supporting, I don't know, frequency controls. And yeah, I think that Ukraine has now an opportunity to start from the scratch and bring a lot of new technologies, and also rethink the regulatory sphere, which is happening actually in a very quick mode. Sometimes it feels like too much, but on the other hand, we understand why it's happening, because as of now, I don't have electricity in my home. So apologies if my connection might be interrupted. I'm connected to these small batteries. So I mean, this is the reality, you know, like I really hope that our company and companies of the EUEA will be able to come here and help building almost from the scratch the Ukrainian energy system.
Thank you, Alina. Yuri, you have founded or co-founded the investment fund in the most unpredictable and non-reliable times in history of Ukraine. What is the motivation there? Is there investment opportunities for you or more challenges?
Actually, we are still in the process of fundraising, but we see like good chances to raise money, and we are hopeful to do it sooner. In general, you know, we see lots of potential because, as you know very well, you know, the potential is there. You know, there is a huge need in new generation, in storage of different types. That's why, you know, we see that right now, unfortunately, when most of old energy assets were destroyed, and many of them are destroyed forever, and just like, you know, some which can be rebuilt, they will be rebuilt in the nearest, you know, couple of years, but you know, the rest will need to be replaced completely, and this will come, you know, with new projects, with new technologies, and hopefully with new investors. Because what we saw also that, you know, as a result of the full-scale war, Ukrainian energy sector is becoming more decentralized. There are just no anymore just like, you know, few usual suspects, few large companies, you know, which own and control everything. You know, the decentralization started already several years ago with many new players coming to work on renewable projects under feed-in tariff. But now we are in the basically new wave, new companies, new entrants, new ideologies of projects. So companies and people are not looking anymore at feed-in tariff for state support, but there are ideas how to develop projects based on corporate PPAs, based on net billing, based on export, for example, of biomethane to Europe, and many other, let's say, non-state dependent ideas and schemes, and we really see lots of opportunities. In particular, just, you know, if you ask me about, you know, sectors, we are very high on wind generation in Ukraine. So in our portfolio, we have, you know, several wind projects. We are high on biomethane. Right now, it doesn't make much commercial sense to build biomethane plants for Ukrainian domestic market, but it makes perfect sense to build for exporting to EU, where you can get you know, proper green premium. We are also quite high on you know, battery storage, co-location of renewable power plants, you know, with storage, you know, behind the meter solutions, all this like new segment which is just emerging.
That's super. That's a lot. That's already a lot of opportunities. Hopefully, we will get more companies that will be listening to our podcast today to investigate further into these markets. Let me ask you this. You know, when there is Ukraine, there is permanently a very long list of negative challenges or problems or issues, right? Ukraine is war, it's instability, it's corruption, it's all these other things that we have heard for unfortunately also before the war, but you are still all here, either within Ukraine or working for Ukraine and supporting Ukraine in doing whatever we all can. I'm also one of these people, but there must be also something positive or inspirational that is happening. And if we're looking at the rest sector, what would be this? Maybe you have one or two personal highlights in the recent couple of years that you say, finally this happened. We wish this happened before, right? Are there any positive developments like that you could name?
One thing I wanted just to add also is that, I mean, I'm living now in Poland, and our countries have very similar background in terms of energy. They're both countries which have been drastically influenced by the Soviet energy system, by big centralization of power. Like Yuri said, today we are facing a decentralization. And I can say that, I mean, Ukraine is now, I mean, having a very complex situation. Poland is now relatively quiet. We have passed in the last 2 years, in fact, a lot of legislation to decentralize energy. And finally, what I'm really hoping is that we'll have this kind of legislation also in Ukraine, because today, I mean, what's the goal here in Poland is to decentralize everything. We are getting out of gas as fast as we can, and we try to accumulate in the same location a little bit of solar, a little bit of wind, a little bit of battery, to get out of everything which is feed-in tariff, to go to corporate PPA. And again, thanks to the fact we have stability, we can experiment more here. And I think it will be worth certainly also in Ukraine to just try to take a little bit the thing which works already here, because it's much easier to invest here in prototypes, let's say, and then go to Ukraine with already something which works. Because today trying in Ukraine something innovative can be challenging. It's very challenging to put full money at risk. Yeah?
I understand. Thank you. Alina, Yuri, any highlights in your business lives in Ukraine?
Well, speaking about something positive, I think, it feels like Ukrainian market is still at early stages of the development, right? There's still so much to improve. But at the same time, it's interesting to see how the market, like this big boom after 2019, started from this feed-in tariff, and it actually helped a lot to bring a lot of new capacities. And actually, thanks God to the feed-in tariff, we have now all this solar, which is helping us to survive difficult hours without electricity. But we see how the electricity market is also being developed, and there are already some renewable projects which are on the market. And we see that these projects are actually even way better than on the feed-in tariff. Because of the payment, there is like the discipline of payment is better. It's like contractually you can regulate whatever you want, and it's more efficient. And I see that Ukraine is kind of is doing this quite quickly in a way that it's moving towards the market mechanisms, and the business is ready to enter into the like merchant business models. What we see is that there is not enough support from the lenders towards the merchant mechanisms, but this is not only in Ukraine, right? It's in all other countries as well. Yeah, it's not very unique, but I hope that this kind of a shift from state support or kind of this long-term PPAs will be kind of moving more into this even one-year agreements. And this is what is happening in Ukraine. I feel like a lot of at least Ukrainian companies are ready to take more risks, and it helps to saturate the electricity market and make it more efficient. And we like the dynamics which is happening here. Things are happening very quickly. Compared like in Europe, it can take ages for the development, for adoption on the law. In Ukraine, it's vice versa. It's very quick. It can be challenging in one way that you cannot keep up with the speed. But on the other hand, you can do a lot of things in a short period of time, which is great.
And going to corporate PPA, you can get out of the country risk, let's say also. I mean,
Yeah.
When you sign a corporate PPA, your lender look at the guarantees of the corporate who sign with you, and not anymore is the country stable or not. I mean, still look at it, but less. So I would say that's a big challenge is having strong companies, but yeah, there is a few in Ukraine definitely.
Yeah.
No, actually, I see this as huge improvement over past 15 years, because if you take 15 years ago, we were only focused on fighting oligarchs and somehow surviving with new investors and new entrants to the market against old traditional oligarch-driven holdings. There were actually not one of them, but several. in different parts of energy sector. Like, 5 years ago, entire focus was on debates with the state about feed-in tariff, state support, whether, state off-taker is solvent, not solvent, which tariffs should be approved for state companies by the state regulator. And it was like, getting all focus and attention, and there were indeed many problems with the state. But now, I mean, when we are really moving forward to next, let's say, level of civilization after state support schemes, I would say that it's like getting totally new energy, because oligarchs are not there anymore. I mean, at least to the extent when they can influence anything. So it's a liberalized market. Anybody can build whatever it wants, whenever it wants, as long as you have money, as long as you can achieve some bankability and raise loans. But it really also means that state, I feel more and more, it's not anymore our opponent like it was 5 years ago with feed-in tariff, but it's more also switching to the view that they're ready to support, as long as we don't ask for state money, we don't ask for subsidies or state support. They're ready to support when it comes to improving permitting, improving legislation, regulatory framework. So basically, I really hear and see more and more the attitude, just go and do yourself. If you face any obstacles, come to us and we'll try to work together to overcome them. But let's say, as long as you are doing your stuff, we are not interfering and not trying to overregulate you anymore. And that's very inspiring and positive, especially for newcomers, because you can come in totally new ideology of relations at electricity market.
That's already very inspiring, I agree. And when it comes to these obstacles, what is on top of the obstacles agenda that you would say this really needs to be quickly addressed to, let's say, free the market for becoming even faster in their developments? What's on top of the agenda? I know there is a lot, the list is long, but the most pressing issues?
I think I would say, that war insurance is still issue. From one side, it's available. So if you're doing large project, you can come to DFC or MIGA and ask them for an offer and get such offer, and then negotiate and structure some product. But at the same time, the war insurance remains more or less custom-made, specialized product, which is available for, let's say, bigger companies for bigger projects. But if you're talking about building decentralized energy generation and storage, and projects in every town and every region of Ukraine, many dozens of projects in parallel, automatically it means that it should come from small investors, from SMEs, from medium-sized regional companies, and such companies cannot just spend half a year negotiating very complex product with large international organization. Also, such international organizations will not have capacity to discuss and negotiate such projects with dozens of local developers and investors. So I would say we need some let's say mass products for war insurance. And then I would say another issue, it's creditworthiness of local companies who can be off-takers under the corporate PPAs. Because if we apply standard conditionality, standard expectations of international financial institutions and banks towards corporate PPA off-takers, there will be really few companies in Ukraine right now which have good balance sheets, strong financial position, stable market situation, can expect to get additional guarantees from their headquarters, from their parent companies. So, I mean, there are such companies, but I mean, I believe you can still do, 5-10 PPA-based projects quite soon. But again, we're talking about the needs of making, 50 or 100 such projects. And for that, I believe there should be some forms of additional extra guarantees. There can be a special donor fund for such guarantees, which was an offer from EUEA and EUEA associations, which we currently discuss with government and with IFIs or some other ways, but still like some additional security, additional guarantees, which would ease requirements of IFIs and banks towards off-takers.
Thank you, Yuri. Adrien, Alina, anything on your top wish list?
Well, the war is obviously the biggest challenge, and everything what is connected with it, like the war insurance, which is a big obstacle to bringing new investments. Then there is a pre-war problem of the debts in the system. Like most of the renewables here are under feed-in tariff, right? And there's like still debts, and there's big unclarity on how this will be resolved. And obviously, it feels like this is not the biggest priority for the country, but it's still there. And until this is fully resolved, it will be difficult to convince current investors, especially foreign investors, right, to kind of continue investment. And this also creates the context whereby both investors and lenders are afraid of this offtake payment risk, right? And obviously this creates the need to create some sort of fund or something which will guarantee the offtake. And this is where we also say that, okay, if we need to bring new investments, there has to be a mechanism which will guarantee the payment down the road, whether this is a corporate PPA or this is, I don't know, payment from Ukrenergo. Yeah, so I would say that these are the biggest risks. There is always something happening on the regulatory side, like there is all-time pain for all the companies, the imbalance responsibility. We as a company have operations around the world, and probably in Ukraine it's the most complicated one in terms of the imbalances. It's really, really sophisticated and difficult, and there is still some small part of the debts on the imbalance market, which is still hanging on us, on the whole sector. And this still has to be resolved somehow. But hopefully down the road it will be fine. And we're doing a lot of work on improving the forecasting. Yeah, so war and war-related risks and payment risks, these are probably on the top, especially for new projects.
Thank you.
On our side, war for sure. After for the payment risk, as we don't have any operating asset in the country, we consider that we may go out of this through corporate PPAs. That's definitely something quite reliable, and which we are experiencing on other markets more and more.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would only side comment to the companies and our listeners who will be viewing this recording and are interested in the renewable energy sector. All of our guests today are actively engaged and even leading the working group of European-Ukrainian Energy Agency on renewable energy. So if you are interested in deeper in the topic, not only in challenges, but also for solutions and what we as an organization are doing to bring the market forward, this is for sure a place to be. So contact us afterwards, and we will make sure that we can integrate you somehow. Here I would suggest to jump a little bit to one of the core topics or ideas of today's podcast, which is in support of the Leleka Foundation. As I mentioned earlier, since 2014, this organization has been doing incredible things. Yuri, here the word to you as a co-founder. Could you briefly present us the initiative, what has been done and what are the top priorities at the moment that you are working on, and how can we support?
Yes, of course. Let's see. We are focused charity, that works primarily with field medics. So our main idea of the work is to support medics working in the frontline areas, helping both defenders of Ukraine and civilians, and to provide them with top quality special equipment and medical supplies. Because in general, qualified medic requires quite big set of devices and equipment, and consumables which is needed basically on daily basis. And therefore, speaking frankly, unfortunately, it's not so easy, and it's not so, let's say, I would say, budget-wise affordable to fully equip medics with what they need. And that's why it was our focus, because the state is focusing primarily on let's say more simple supplies, more simple solutions. They focus on providing individual first aid kits or tourniquets, and this is also the focus of many Ukraine's international partners. But when it comes to medics, it becomes totally different area. First of all, you need to clearly understand that supplies which you are providing are appropriate for the qualifications and tasks of the medic, because just one medic's backpack can start in terms of its cost from $1,000 and go up to like $3,000 based on what you put there. And then if you talk about evacuation, you need to have evacuation car, and this evacuation car requires also special equipment depending on what is possible to use in the frontline situation. Then now as additional task, in order to protect this medical evacuation car from drones, we also need to install special, quite expensive anti-drone electronic equipment. So basically, then as a result, you can see that in order to ensure evacuation of wounded people, again, defenders or civilians from frontline areas, you just need to provide, let's say, $2,000-$3,000 worth backpack to medic. Then she or he needs to have the car. Let's say it will be another $15,000 for used car, and then you need to spend $5,000 for anti-drone equipment, another 5,000-10,000 for equipping this car with special equipment. And this will be just just to start, because along the way you also will need to provide replenishment of devices and consumables, tourniquets, blood stopping, gauze, and other stuff. So with a really like thousands and thousands of dollars on a rolling basis. And just to give you an idea of the size of the needs from the beginning of the invasion, our fund received already more than 6,000 applications from medics. And many of these applications covered not only the needs of one medic, but of a group of medics of entire unit. And as of now, we completed more than 5,000, let's say, completed execution of more than 5,000 from these applications. But actually, unfortunately, things don't stop in terms of needs are becoming, let's say, they're either stable, or sometimes, like right now, they are even growing depending on the intensity of operations. And that's why, there is a permanent need of the nations. Unfortunately, from what we can see, that the coverage of the war in Ukraine worldwide, has gone down, significantly over past, year and a half. And usually, let's say, people outside of Ukraine don't really appreciate, that intensity of the military actions is the same as before. It's just the coverage in mass media that reduced. And that's why we are very grateful to those few international supporters and donors and corporate donors who are still with us and who are still supporting Leleka, because unfortunately we cannot achieve proper level donations just with crowdfunding, with using Facebook or LinkedIn or other type of social media. Quite big part of our donation stream has been coming from corporate donors, And actually, I'm very grateful to Adrien and Alina because, on personal level, they've been supporting us for many, many years. And also the companies supported Leleka on numerous occasions. And also, what is no less important, they're helping to grow the awareness. So I know that many of their colleagues and partners and let's say business network people learned about us and made a step forward from their side to support us. So that's why I would say that we truly appreciate this support, and we are looking forward potential to extend the number of supporters.
Thank you, Yuri. It's indeed becoming a new type of social corporate responsibility, right? If you live in Ukraine, work in Ukraine, or for Ukraine from outside of Ukraine, there is no other option, right? We all have to contribute somehow. And Adrien, Alina, what, as Yuri said, your companies have been since many years supporting the Leleka Foundation. What is the basis for, or let's say, a deeper motivation and background for that, in that for you?
Yeah. The first thing is that I've been working in 2017 in Ukraine on a project close to Priazovsk in the Zaporozhye region, and what I realized is that me and the team, really a lot of people at that time, we didn't focus at all on the war. We focus on in fact making our projects, working on the projects. And we all, I think, lacked at that time awareness that there was already a war ongoing, and that it wasn't just a line and we were safe. And we know what happened after, yeah. So when so for this time, we want to put the priority right, and it's the things I discuss also with my entire team, because here I have in Poland around 20 Polish employees, and I wanted that to be really a company decision, that we will use also our money, in fact, to support this conflict, because in fact, it is today we speak a lot about ESG and all these things inside the company, but finally, that's, I think, the biggest social support we can do. So we have tried to help in many directions to the displaced persons first, then to the soldiers, but we realize with the time that it is really by focusing our support to specialized people which are in this for a very long time, like Yuri, who know exactly what they do. Yuri, the people by Leleka are professionals, unfortunately, of this. They develop a big competences here. When I was in Zaporozhye, people knew about Leleka. All medics know about Leleka, the quality of their work. So it's why when we had to make choices, because this war is a long war, now 2.5 years, and we have to focus on what we really can do. We decided to focus on Leleka Foundation, and also support directly to a few brigades, which we know. So yes, this highly specialization and professionalism of Leleka is why motivate us to work with them, plus the transparency and obviously the dedication of the team.
Alina, anything?
Yeah, I just would like to add that Adrien is not speaking enough of how much he's actually helping. He's every time we speak with him, his office is full of medical equipment. He's been in my hometown. I'm from Zaporizhia, more than I was during these last 2 years. He's always sending me pictures of him traveling, bringing some car, some equipment, sleeping bags, whatever. Like Adrien is traveling more in Ukraine than I, and he's always helping so much, Leleka. So Adrien, big thanks to you and your company for what you do. And I fully agree with what Adrien said about Leleka. Probably it's one of the best funds, maybe because I know it too well. Like we know Yuri, right? And Yuri and his fund been working in this field since 2014. And for me and for all of us, the most important is that the quality of work, it's really, really high. We know that all the equipment which is bought is of the highest quality. The speed is also very important. So we know that whatever is there, and since the request, it can be 2 days. Well, of course, depends on the availability of the stuff which is being requested. And also, it's really, really sad that it always feels like it's never enough. Whatever you do, it's not enough. There is always not enough money. And whenever I talk with Yuri's colleagues, they're saying it's like a black hole. whatever you invest, it just goes, and it's like never ending. And there is like you cover one request and then you get 10 requests, right? And I know how hard it is to fundraise, and some people outside Ukraine think that they've donated once and that kind of helps, but it's not. You have to donate every day, every month. It has to be a full, like at least monthly commitment until we win, because it's really it's a black hole of the requests. And I really hope that more and more companies will commit to help, because the more people we save, the more people will help to bring victory closer. And Leleka is the great fund to make this happen. Yeah. So yeah, I don't feel like we're doing enough, honestly.
Well, all the psychologists say that we should not undermine the effort. We have to do the best we can. And I remember times when Yuri said he's not working anymore because he's only volunteering on the full-time basis. Yuri, how is your work volunteering? I'm not even talking life, work volunteering balance at the moment looking like?
I was quite fortunate because we really have a strong team in Ukraine, and it has been growing. So Adrien and Alina, they were in our office in Kiev, so they know Irina Guk and our other colleagues on the ground. So because we were able to, let's say, grow team a bit over past year, and there are more people, and they are doing really fantastic job. I was able a bit to shift the balance. So first, I think first 2 years after the invasion started, it was 80% Leleka and 20% work with fund and IMEPOWER. I think right now it's more like 50-50. And of course, my colleagues are doing tremendous job on the operational side, and I'm trying to help them now more with fundraising and special projects. On special projects, I mean something like special cars or with anti-drone equipment, because these are new areas where there is a lot of additional communications, with suppliers, providers. You need to optimize what you are buying, understand better, the needs of medics. So right now I'm more fundraisers slash special projects coordinator. But let's say I think this part about donations, that's the most difficult one, speaking frankly, because there is no problem to do the work every day, but it's quite hard psychologically to see how many requests we are getting every day, to know all these people, because in my telephone, I have 3,000 phone numbers of medics whom I directly communicated, whom I know. My colleagues, have their thousands in their phones. And let's say these are not just some abstract, requests, but we really understand that, if these medics need, 10 or 15 backpacks today, urgently, it's because they have already used completely what they received from us before. And it means that they had many injured people. And it means that they understand and forecast, that there will be again same situation tomorrow or next week, and they will again, will fully use all supplies. But at the same time, we are stuck against, the wall, because we weren't able to collect donations, and that's why we know that now we are not making our regular purchases that will come to reality in 1-2 months from now, because our warehouse will be almost empty, and then we will not be able anymore to cover these requests. I mean, that's kind of quite depressing part. And speaking frankly, I think in earlier this month in August we had record low bank account. both in Ukraine and US. So basically, we just actually we got to zero in both funds, because we have one fund, it's US fund, another fund, it's Ukrainian fund, but we just had small reserve of about like $40,000 to pay for transportation and logistic services, because we usually pay after several months to our provider. So that's why we kind of keep some reserve to make sure that when they come to us, with the bill, we have money to pay. But in terms of supplies, we went down just to zero. Thanks God, we got small corporate donation, from let's say 2 regular donors, which allowed us to kind of get back to like 30,000-50,000. But to give you like comparison, for the past year, we usually process applications for about $370,000 per month. So basically, that's our like normal capacity of things that we buy and ship to medics. So right now, from just 370,000 standard donations which we would need to keep us running, we really got just only about 70,000. So we have already minus 300 to usual tempo that we kept over past, actually not even just one, but over past 2.5 years. And that's really kind of the most difficult part.
Oh, gosh. So we need regularity, we need corporate partners, and here anything $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 really save lives. Without saved lives of soldiers, there won't be a victory. Without victory, there won't be renewable energy sector, and we are in this vicious circle, but it is our life. And I know it is strange a little bit to talk about renewable energy and charities for medical aid, but unfortunately, we cannot separate this anymore within the Ukrainian context. And this was an important part of messages that we wanted to discuss today. And thank you all for everything that you're all doing. But we have to do more. And so given that we don't have too much time left, if we want to do more, we want more companies to come, active companies to come to renewable energy sector in Ukraine. So if we would get closer to the end of our dialogue today, and if we want to inspire more companies to come now, because everyone wants to come after, right? But after is too late. After is too late, and we need activities, and we need more players, and we need more investments now, because investments is also contributing to economy, to energy resilience, and energy we need for the rest of the economy to work. So it's all so interconnected that is partially sad and discouraging. But on the other hand, when we look at everything that is happening in the country and how people, after shelling and blackouts, stand up and barely taking a shower if they have any water, going to the office and do their jobs, it's at the same time extremely inspiring in a sad way. So if we wanted to inspire and encourage more companies to get in and to start activities, you as people that are working pretty much on the daily basis on the Ukrainian effort and renewable energy sector, what would be the top few arguments that you would use to bring them in sooner rather than later?
I would say I have this conversation with a few companies here, construction company, development companies in Poland. They know I know well Ukraine, so they ask me, and I don't think there is like one giant argument to tell them go now, but I advise them to do baby steps. It means like first things I advise them, and I'm not here preaching for us, but I say join EUEA, like Electrum, for example. So you will get at least information, join a few conferences, going to Kiev to meet the people, because currently Kiev is quite operating. Kiev is almost full comparing to the first year of the war. I mean, it's totally not back to normal, but we have really a lot of people. And then take slowly the decision. But there is like things improving, like we say on the PPA side, on the war insurance. So the first thing is to go there, to start to join.
Okay.
I might say that we feel that the competition is already building up. So there are a lot of internal competition within Ukrainian sector. We see a lot of already foreign companies entering and preparing. So once the market is open and once we win, it will be too late, because there will be already many companies who've already done the development, who've done the feasibility, and they will be already ready to step in. So the earlier the new companies will come, the better. And I really advise everyone to look into the grants from their countries, because I know that a lot of countries are now giving grants to feasibility studies. And maybe this is the best way to enter Ukraine without risking a lot of your own capital, but just having into some opportunities, look in the market, learn it, feel it. And as Adrien said, baby steps, that's how you start. Because obviously there are still a lot of risks, but starting from feasibility, then development, and then preparing for the actual investments, which should happen hopefully quite soon.
Thank you, Alina. Yuri?
I think from my side, I see just many fundamentals, because Ukraine is now EU accession country. Ukraine is a full-scale member of European energy system of ENSA-E. Ukraine is truly like going actively after all kinds of improvements of legislation. Now we can do corporate PPAs. We will have the system of guarantees of origin that will be launched, this year. So far, the exchange of GOs will be only in Ukraine, but we expect that in few years, Ukraine will be able also to connect to European system and exchange guarantees of origin with European partners. And there is just fundamental need of electricity. Just we have like current deficit of many gigawatts, which unfortunately cannot be covered immediately. With even with all projects and all investors which are on the ground and with all money Ukraine gets from IFIs and partners, but it's just not possible. So this deficit will be there for a number of years. And basically, when you add up all this together, you have market with huge demand. Even now, demand will be increasing, with the recovery. This is European country, this is part of European market. So just positioning properly, building, the pipeline of projects, I truly believe is something which is worthwhile investment as of now. Also, in terms of financing, I mean, it's there. There is some, let's say, learning curve for banks and IFIs and investors how to structure projects under current circumstances and additional war risk, etc. But let's say there are projects which are moving forward. I think we will be hearing more and more about financial closing for renewable or other energy projects in the coming, let's say, half year. And then this is experience which can be really copy pasted. And also just to keep in mind, Ukraine is really big country, and doing projects in central, and western Ukraine, it's not the same as doing projects, in Zaporizhia, near front line. So there are, let's say, many relatively safe areas where you can just go for normal planning, development, construction process. So that's why I really think the time is good now for entry. Because if you wait for 1 or 2 years, there will be already quite many players, and it will be quite crowded.
So, as I hear, after the war ends, is too late, and for sure now is not the time also to get tired of war. And we hear that there is overall tiredness, and believe me, no one is more tired than Ukrainians who are all these years actively in here. So we would be sharing the link to the Leleka Foundation together with the recording. Please check it out, see if it touches you in a way that you would be willing to join our cause, or find another one that touches you more perhaps, or whatever is the cause, but it's not time to stop your support. It is very much needed for Ukraine. So if you are looking at this market, every small contribution counts. With this, I would also like to remind you, if you are once again, if you are interested in renewable energy sector, later is too late. So see if you are interested to join any of the activities of European-Ukrainian Energy Agency. We have active working groups. We regularly hold events. On the 29th of October in Vienna, we will be holding our annual European-Ukrainian Energy Day with several dedicated panels to renewable energy specifically. So come hopefully offline. Otherwise, there will be availability to check the material and or online stream online. But real contacts are not substitutable. So we would be happy to see you in Vienna in October. And with this, I would very much like to thank our guests today for everything that you are doing, that you are keeping the economy running, keeping business running, keeping people employed, and still finding strength to support initiatives that are necessary for Ukraine's victory. And we will be hearing more from you, at least on the Energy Day, if not earlier. And with this, thank you very much. And to all our viewers, see you on the future EUEA podcasts. Olena, Rybak with you, EUEA podcast, EUEA Dialogues podcast, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lina.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lena. All the best.